This is for all parents who want their children to succeed in school. Please, if you haven't done it yet, time to consider private schooling. I've been a fan of private schools ever since I was in prep school. But it's especially acute now because the condition of public schools has gotten worse and is not on the rebound, it's on the continuing decline. You can expect that because public schools are incapable of moving quickly, and public school boards are buffeted by competing interests, and they become political interests. Most of them not done by parents, but done by administrators who are not necessarily in parents' corners. Administrators are buttering the bread of those who pay them. Superintendents, school board members, administrators at times are buffeted politically, and they are not being supportive of parents. That happens far too often. By contrast, a private school has more direct control by parents. School boards in public schools, remember, are elected. Now, how much of a town's electorate has kids? Usually no more than half. So half the town or more are voting for things that are not necessarily in the interest of schooling. A lot of times it's to reduce budgets. A lot of times it's to put in guidelines that parents don't necessarily want. Private schools, parents do have more control. Now, there's not necessarily a school board, but there's actual administrators who pick up the phone. Actual administrators who stand to lose if you want to pull your kid out. You have the ultimate threat. It's the marketplace. And a school that isn't keeping up with what you and other parents want means it will lose you and your tuitions. And that's why private schools tend to do better. Because of the marketplace, because of direct funding and more direct say from parents, you get better education. Administrators at public schools who make promises have a hard time keeping them. That's not necessarily their fault, but they're subject to boards, state, local. They might be subject to environmental stuff. So when they promise, oh, we'll have a science lab for your kids, it's maybe 2 years away. Oh, we're building a whole new wing to enhance the middle school. That may be 4 years away and could get scotched if the right kind of funding doesn't come through. Most important for parents, public schools have some silly proposals in the first place. When they are proposing multiple bathrooms, more than 2, to accommodate kids who feel like they're of a third sex at this point. When they are proposing wrestling teams where boys are going to be wrestling girls. When they are proposing CRT in the schools. When they are proposing Afrocentrism and neglecting good basics, you should be looking elsewhere. Private schools are not subject to that. Or if you're the type who believes in an Afrocentric education, there are a few parents like that, you can find a few other parents that might actually want that in a private school. Private schools at least deliver on what they promise far better. On the whole, they do the basics. You don't see private school kids who can't read by 4th grade. You do in the public schools. You do see more independent students in private schools, kids who want to learn, and kids who aren't distracted by miscreants that the public schools have a hard time kicking out. Private schools have a much easier time because every family signs a contract, and it includes behavior, and it gives the school the ability to remove kids whose behavior is repeatedly distracting. That in itself is a great reason for a private school enlistment. I'll speak in the next video about how parents can get private school funding. I'm Mark Stewart Greenstein.